Facts. And that's why I said that, even though there are a lot of men that may not be good leaders at this point, if that's something you have to seek. You know what I'm saying? That's a skill that you develop. That's not something that's just initially given to you. You have to go out and seek and develop that. And and once you understand those principles and laws of leadership and power, then that makes everything else so much easier, because now you can go out and experience it. You can test it on in different scenarios and on small scales, on larger scales. But if you just think just because you're a man that people are supposed to follow you, that's not the case at all. But it's just one of those things that you have to develop. A leader knows how to be a great follower at one point. They understand the power and importance of that. So it's a lot more to it, for sure, for men. um but it's always going to be some type of pushback on it.
All right. I did have a question for Ruth. We see a lot of women prioritizing leadership of a man over their own goals and dreams. What advice do you have for ladies who might be sacrificing their ambitions to support a supposedly visionary partner?
I think it's turns. If you're in a partnership, then you take turns. So if you with somebody that you can trust, you saying if you sacrifice what you want for what he wants. I mean, it would be wise to do that first for him. Then you have the children, and then you go on the back end of the career thing. Once I had, you know how they say you can't have it all, but I had a lot. By the time I was 21, I had a house, a marriage, children, all of that. And so you can't have it all at the same time. So I couldn't have the career at the time. So now when I look back at it, and I was like trying to, when I got back in the workplace, and I was going for my career, I was like, but now I don't have a husband. So it was like, you are not going to have everything perfect at the same time all the time. You got that nice career, but you are not rearing your children. Your children are going to come out like, they're going to come out horrible if you're not there. So I had to make that choice whether I had to, be there. So what I did was I stayed home. I did my college degree at home. I stayed with my children. Since I was a stay-at-home mom role, I was like, once I, later on, I'll use my degree, I'll do all of that stuff. And then I could, it was his turn to do it. And then it was supposed to flip. It just never flipped. That's all. So then I had to do it on my own. So I would just say, like, figure out what's important. When you are younger, that's when you should be raising your family. If you're going after your career, a lot of women hit the law firm, like they hit partner and they just quit so they can have their family. So if you see a lot of women doing that, that's probably not the best choice to do it in that order. It's like, get your education. Yeah, as long as you get your license, you can always come back to it. But if you start a family, finish your family, get them older, and then when they're like 11, 12 and all that, or whatever age you feel is appropriate, then you can go for your career. But women, we don't hit our when I looked at the numbers, the men were making the most money at 45, but we were making the most money about 55 because we had to pause for our career. So that's what I would say. Just try to juggle things and prioritize different things at different points of your life so you can have it all, not hit 40 and be like, I have no kids.
I'm going to go to you, Brother Hank. Is following a man's lead a recipe for disaster in today's world? Are women better off taking charge of their own lives and leaving the men to follow their lead?
So the question is, are men today? Could you repeat the question? I must.
Yeah. So is following a man's lead a recipe for disaster in today's world? Are women better off taking charge of their own lives and leaving men to follow their lead?
Hmm. Well, let me say this. I don't think majority of the men are bad leaders. I don't believe that to be the case. Should women take charge? Look, they've been taking charge, and I don't think they're getting the results that they're looking for. I don't think they're getting the results they're looking for. A lot of women don't really want to go out here and have to work like that. They're not built like that. Not for 20, 30 years and then trying to retire. Most of them don't want to do that. You know, for the most part, they probably wouldn't mind working 10 years. Better come home and better take care of their family and raise their family and do those things. I think majority of women would like to be stay-at-home moms if they got that option. I'm sure of that. Because when them cold days, when they got to get out there and start their car up, head on into that office, it's not fun. It's not fun dealing with the elements. So you might have to, and you know, some women are now they out in the elements. They you know, I've seen some female construction workers, you know, some ladies out there delivering mail and doing other things. Yeah, they not gonna want to do that for 20 to 30 years and try to retire from doing all that. If as a woman, I think they should try to find, and what they've been doing is just trying to find the best option they can. You know what I'm saying? If that means you have to get up on a man's leadership, but you got to realize what that encounters, you know, you do what you got to do. You know, part of leadership is part of is being accountable. As a leader, you have to account for a lot of things and be able to handle whatever comes with those things, whether it's the goods or the bads. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to always hit the home run. You're going to strike out. So you got to be able to handle that situation when you do strike out and you do come up short, when you do fail the family at times. As men, we're going to fail the family. We're not going to always do things right. We're going to make mistakes as men. As a leader, how do we handle it? That's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? Do you have a good woman, a good co-pilot? Is she going to be the type of woman that's going to uplift you and encourage you and say, hey, baby, I understand we took a fall right here. We took a hit financially, maybe emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Especially mentally. Is she going to be that type of co-pilot that's going to sit there and say, we're going to be all right? Or is she that type of co-pilot that's going to rub your goddamn nose in it? Who's going to make you feel bad about the downfalls of your mistakes, or she's going to remind you of how you failed that time, but she forget about them other 4 times that you were successful and maybe negotiating a deal on closing the house or getting her that new car. You know what I'm saying? She's not going to remember that. She don't think about those times when I was that leader and I went in there and I handled business and I handled the situation when we came to your grandmother passing. Nobody want to, figure a way out how we're going to raise this money to bury Granny. But I came in and said, hey, how about we do this and this and this to raise the money to get what we need to do to bury Granny? Oh, she don't remember that. She remembered that one time. That one time when I made a bad investment and it's cost us about $4,000 or $5,000. I'll get reminded of that. But I won't remember them other good things that I was doing as a leader. So is she going to be that type of co-pilot? You know what I'm saying? Men and women both have to make sure they invested in the right things. If that means that certain type of leadership that a woman can accept, a woman could deal with, a woman could follow and be a part of, then ladies, go with it. If that's not the type of leadership you can handle, you might want to stand down. Don't invest in that type of leadership if that's not what the type of leadership you're willing or you're accustomed to dealing with.